Yeah, we got Pearl Jam Rush.
Welcome to another edition of TW Sports Talk, right here on the YouTube channel. Talking, obviously, Philadelphia Eagles and that huge loss to the Green Bay Packers this past weekend. You know, kind of getting a taste of their own medicine after that Carolina win against bad Carolina team.
Yeah, bad.
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 And then going to Lambeau Field to take on an elite, Aaron Rodgers, led quarterback team, here over in Green Bay, and getting beat pretty bad, 53-20, and most of those points coming kind of towards the end, kind of like garbage points at the end.
Yeah.
So that was,
Those touchdowns do not count.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I guess
as far as the stat sheet
was too,
goes, they do, but as far as like in reality, they don't count.
Fantasy stats or whatever.
I was even shocked they kept the first stringers in as long as they did.
Yeah.
And when I saw Jordan Matthews go down with an injury, I thought, damn it, Chip.
Yeah.
No, seriously, because that's his call at the end of the day. I mean, lucky for us, he came right back on the field like after 2 plays and that. But still, like, okay, Chip, you just saw one of your top receivers go down with potential injury here. This is when you pull your starters out because the game's over. I don't care what you're thinking right now. The game is over. Yeah. It's been over for a while.
The Packers, they brought out Matt Flynn at that point. So, I mean,
we kept Sanchez in.
Backups, yeah.
We kept our, actually, I don't think we ever really pulled our starters at all in the game. I mean, Mark was in the game pretty much for the whole game, which made no sense, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
They wanted, I guess, reps or whatever.
They wanted reps. They wanted the guy to have his confidence maybe back a little bit by scoring some touchdowns here. It's like, I get all that, but, the game's over.
Yeah.
If he goes down with an injury, and poor Mac Barkley's coming into the game, I just read Chip. Eagle fans aren't going to be saying this is a great call by Chip here.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be obviously the season could be in doubt then at that point. So, if they bring out Matt Barkley, that's what
I still think the season's possibly in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, we can go down the schedule, man, if you want or whenever, but
no, I mean, we can talk about the Green Bay for a while.
But just the many things wrong with the team in this game.
You couldn't find any really good things to say about this team. It was
across the board. I mean, it was just everybody stank pretty much.
Yeah, even on special teams.
Yeah,
I mean, there wasn't one block, but granted, we didn't score in the block, so what really matters? I would call that even a great play. I mean, really, at that point, I think Green Bay was just saying, this game's over.
Yeah.
We'll give you a block punt. Who cares at this point?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, where do you start?
I think the game could have got more ugly too. I think Rodgers had a few catches that were dropped from his receivers there, and one of them was in the end zone too. So the game could have been worse. I was looking at that worst loss, most points scored for Philly. This is only the second most, which is shocking. But two more scores, a field goal which Crosby missed, and a touchdown, they would have had the record pretty much. They would have.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, it's just
I thought it was funny when he showed that stat on Chip Kelly, and it's like, yeah, Chip, it's not fun when it's on the other side, is it, Chip?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the secondary was bad, which we, knew was going to be bad in this game when you had Rodgers and throwing to, Jordy Matthews Jordy Nelson.
Jordy Nelson.
And
Randall
Cobb and Quarles and whoever else.
Chris Kuhn.
Eddie Lacy out of the backfield.
Oh, Eddie Lacy was a beast in this game.
Makes plays. Yeah, I mean,
the guy's a flat out beast. Yeah. I mean, that one touchdown was ridiculous. He was just knocking guys over left and right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clearly, our defense can't tackle, which would make sense.
In this game,
since in practice, they as you keep telling me, they don't tackle in practice apparently.
Well, in this game, it was worse than than in previous weeks, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they just looked at when the game got out of hand. They just it didn't even look like they wanted to be there at that point, and when they were down 17-0, and then 24-0, and yeah, I mean it was
33 at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's a shame. I mean, the offense, a couple times early, they moved the ball, but then, they had red zone troubles again. key sacks on Mark Sanchez.
The old line did a shitty job protecting him too.
Yeah,
I know Mark did some shitty stuff too there, but clearly the old line gets some blame here as well.
Yeah.
The running game, which was once again a no-show Monday night, was once again another no-show this week.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with this team here. I mean, I think even Ron Jaworski said it best here. He said, "Look, really, you think about it, this team hasn't played great all season, yet somehow they have a 7-3 record. I think one has to do with the schedule they have, because all their wins are against teams even more mediocre than they are right now.
Yeah.
But even then, Washington was almost a loss. The Rams almost came back against us.
Yeah.
Actually, someone tells me if Sean Hill played that game, we probably would have lost that game, maybe. We had Austin Davis. We're facing Austin Davis. Sean Hill is their backup.
Yeah,
Davis is their third string. Davis is their third string QB. Maybe if Sean Hill was playing, maybe we would have lost that game, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
to begin with, they lost Sam Bradford. And,
but then again, Tyler, hell, last year we beat Green Bay, and the only reason why we probably beat Green Bay was because A-Rod wasn't playing.
Yeah, no Rodgers.
So, like I said, you look at even last year's schedule, we got lucky, I think, on a few occasions. We could have easily missed the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious, though. We could have easily...
they haven't been good against, 500 teams, obviously teams that are above 500. And that's, if you're Chip Kelly, you have to look at that and say, all right, this is a recurring pattern here. What do we got to do to maybe be able to be in a position to beat an Aaron Rodgers and led team and
as someone one time, one of the things that went against him was this fast-paced offense.
Well, yeah, one of them certainly, but obviously talent-wise, they got to get more talent.
You know how you beat Aaron Rodgers? You keep him off the damn field. That's how you beat it.
Yeah, and certainly if they can run the ball better.
Well, yeah, but you can't do that, Tyler. If your offense is based on we got to score fast.
Yeah.
Because then you only try to beat Aaron Rodgers is a shootout, and that's even a risky chance to do. So I said this earlier here. Stop with the Oregon offense.
Yeah, or at least maybe huddle up when you're playing Aaron Rodgers.
And I'm actually kind of sick and tired of people saying this is a quarterback-friendly offense. Keep in mind,
Sanchez... Well, it wasn't on Sunday.
No, but Sanchez is the third QB under this system. How's that quarterback friendly? And this is our third QB. And if we draft a guy, that's 4 QBs then possibly under the system then. How is that quarterback friendly?
Yeah.
What, because guys might get open on occasions? That's great, but I'm just saying.
Well, if they can't establish the run game too, that's also supposed to be supposedly what's, quarterback friendly, but obviously one of the problems is the running game has not been quarterback friendly, obviously. So it's not it's not quarterback friendly right now.
And like I said, I'm so sick and tired of people saying the offensive line's a problem here. I don't know. Almost all the starters are back now.
Yeah,
from this line last year, and they're still making mistakes here.
This game they were pretty bad, obviously.
Hell, even Jason Kelsey, who was a Pro Bowl last year, is playing.
Yeah.
That high snap was on him. Mark did a shitty job recovering the ball, obviously, which it was pretty much typical for Sanchez.
Like last week that happened, and he just, he fell right on top of it. This week he tried to pick it up, and that cold Lambeau, and obviously it backfired.
And of course, it was an easy touchdown the other way because there was nobody in an Eagle jersey anywhere near the person with the ball after that. Yeah. No, I'm just saying here. It's like because that's all I hear. That's all I hear from LaShawn McCoy. Well, O-line got banged up this year. I don't want to hear that.
And
I don't want to hear give the ball to Darren Sproles more. Because really, it's besides the Colts game Monday night. Where has this guy been this season?
Well, a couple weeks. Last game obviously Carolina, he kind of went off a little bit.
Okay, he took a punt return back for a touchdown.
And he had that one like misdirection run for a touchdown. Like if they could have I don't understand why they don't do that with like LaShawn McCoy or something. I don't know.
I don't know,
these misdirection runs, but if they could have somebody with like straight ahead speed more, because obviously Darren Sproles can't carry the ball that often.
He's also 31.
Well, yeah,
that's pretty old for a running back.
That's what I'm saying. If they had, they found like a younger weapon that could do that stuff more often.
Keep in mind, this inconsistency with Sproles, this is why the Saints got rid of him last year. He could make those high impact plays a few occasions last year, but then there were times when it was like, wait, he's in the starting lineup for the Saints, And Drew Brees can't even find this guy
he's
in
like
the field?
yeah, I mean, he's like a gadget player. And, it'd be nice if they could find someone like him, but that they could use more consistently.
Honestly, I go opposite. Opposite. I go big. I go Eddie
Well,
Lacy.
you could go.
I go power back. We don't have a
Well,
power
yeah,
back in this team here.
Yeah.
I don't think we go for Chris Polk. I'm sorry, Chris Polk.
He's not.
Chris Polk is not the guy.
Yeah. I mean, you could, like, a guy like Darren Sproles, or also a power guy, either or for me. Just a guy that's going to, power between the tackles. Obviously, you watch the Patriots game, they bring out this Jonas Gray from the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe the offensive line was.
Well, that's also Bill Belichick's. Well, yeah. Bill Belichick. That's the reason why the guys earn respect in the league as one of the best coaches in the NFL. Because how even Brady is a quarterback. I still am amazed that he can follow the stats he has this year with the lack of weapons he has this year.
Yeah. Other than Gronkowski, of course.
No, but his best receiver is Julian Edelman, who was a quarterback in college. Yeah. He was a quarterback for Kent State University.
Yeah.
I agree. And yet he's not just one of the best receivers for Brady. He's one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind there how this team, despite all the losses they've had, granted Terrell Williams was a huge pickup on defense this year.
Definitely, yeah.
And yet that defense still has whole issues with it. But yet the team's 8-2, atop the AFC.
Now, yeah. They've won 6 straight, I think now.
Yeah, after coming off that embarrassing loss to KC, where everybody thought has Brady reached his peak? Has Belichick reached his peak as a coach? And all of a sudden, this team might actually go to the Super Bowl finally again this year. Brady might finally almost get his 4th ring this year, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm still going with Denver, though. I still think.
Yeah, they should. I mean, obviously,
New England has Detroit this week. Granted, it is at Foxborough, but then they got to go to Lambeau. You can face Aaron Rodgers too, and I see that being a loss.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, the Packers might win that game. Obviously, well, it is Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field.
Keep in mind, it's not a 2-horse race. I think Kansas City has crawled their way up to contender slightly a bit.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty hot lately too. So you wonder what they could do. I think they still have a game with Denver. So obviously that could tell, I could say a lot on the season. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Eagles running game goes, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I mean, if they could find, I'm all for like a power back too.
Yeah.
And I mean, Chris Polk's all right, but he's not,
Yeah.
He's not like an Eddie Lacy or Marshawn Lynch, obviously.
And once again, let's go back to the wide receiving core too.
Yeah.
Riley Cooper has stolen the money.
Yeah, he's stealing money.
He's stealing money as we speak.
I think
he
has 1 touchdown on the season.
And keep in mind, we might have to keep him next year because there's no guarantee Macklin stays with us this year. And in fact, if we miss the playoffs,
yeah, because he could test the market.
And if it's like if we draft a QB but this way, if we draft a quarterback and we make some changes here, it's clear that the R word is rebuilding then. Yeah. But it's going to be tough to tell their franchise and even a coaching staff that, went from division first year and also just slowly regressing as the years were going on. I mean, I don't know how you're able to convince Macklin, he might finish in the top 10 as far as receiving yards go this year, just like Deshaun Jackson.
And touchdowns.
And just like Deshaun Jackson as well. And maybe he says, look, I can probably have a better shot somewhere else. I also probably might get better pay somewhere else as well.
Yes.
I mean, because keep in mind, they still got to figure out this quarterback scenario too. Do you keep Nick?
Yeah.
Because he's going to want more money than when he got it. Great, he doesn't deserve that money right now. But at the same time, at this point, it's either Mark. You either keep Mark or you keep Nick at this point.
How's everyone doing?
And Matt just stays there because you need some.
Barkley, yeah.
I mean, even though most teams usually use 2 QBs, I mean, for some reason we're one of the few that still have a 3rd QB in the lineup. So that's kind of weird too there a bit. But I mean, like I said, and we keep saying draft quarterback. We got to draft quarterback this year. Well, we could draft one in the first round. There are a whole lot of more teams that need a quarterback that have a way worse record right now that are going to take all the good ones before we do.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, unless it's Marcus Mariota, and maybe even Jameis Winston, there is no other QB in this current class that matches this offense.
Yeah. I
and
mean,
I don't care how much Chip modifies the hell out of it there. His only way to make a QB work maybe is to use this thing called a huddle.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously it's, it's not working. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to.
But like, who knows? who knows Chip's going to stay with Philly this year. I'm hearing rumors Florida's really trying to push him to become the new head coach next year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, granted, they're going to offer more than $6 million in guaranteed money, which is
6.5 or
I mean, but then again, Florida's main problem this year was offense, and Chip is an offensive guy, and he is a proven success in college. Granted, as someone even said earlier, he never won a national championship in Oregon. I think they won the Pac-12 conference maybe twice, maybe only 2 times. The defense has been very mediocre at Oregon. Which is kind of scary for a Philly fan when that's one of your main problems right now is your defense. And you're expecting this guy who really did nothing for defense at Oregon to do something with Philly this year.
Yeah, at least a secondary special.
Like I said earlier, he's a college guy through and through. And Spurrier only lasted 2 years in the NFL before he said, "Oh, screw this, I'm going back to college." Nick Saban I don't believe he even coached a game at Miami, and he went back to college immediately.
Yeah, remember, short run with the Dolphins.
Very short run.
Yeah.
Like what, a couple months maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even coach a game, and all of a sudden he said, "Screw the NFL, I'm going back to college."
Yeah.
And sure enough, he went to Alabama, and he made him a dynasty pretty much.
Yeah, in the college, yeah.
There's still Darwin fans pissed off about that, though.
Yeah.
Because he came in, and then he just left.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I think even Bobby Petrino even took some flack from even the Atlanta Falcons at one point, too. Because almost immediately, he leaves the Falcons, and I think this is after the whole Michael Vick controversy, too, and he signs with Arkansas almost immediately then.
Yeah.
While the season, I believe, is still going on for Atlanta. So, there's been crazy scenarios in the past of coaches here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess we'll see how the rest of the year plays out. Obviously, see what goes on in the offseason. I mean, obviously, adjustments have to be made in the offseason, some personnel adjustments.
Yeah, but it's probably a lot. Yeah, but it's a lot more than that now. Now it's quarterback. Now it's the running game now, and now it's even a receiving core here, and it's like.
So they're really going to be, tested here. Chip Kelly.
Yeah, and keep in mind, there's been rumors that him and Harry Roseman have been butting heads a lot. The GM and about decisions as far as the roster goes, and that's usually not a good sign. Sometimes, I mean. Well, as I just said, it might be good because it's arguments. I'm not saying these guys can't disagree on things and it doesn't work out in that. That's happened in the past. But it could also be as far as you're the coach. No, I'm the GM, and and so on. And those can get pretty ugly.
Yeah, yeah. So
as I said earlier, there his one decision. And I don't care if it was Roseman, Lurie, or Kelly's, but that Deshaun Jackson decision has haunted this team this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, and then you got Riley Cooper again, who's like stealing money right now.
And I said, if we lose Macklin this year, I got news for you. Jordan Matthews and Riley Cooper are not going to win a whole lot of games then.
Yeah, I mean, they'll need somebody else in place of Cooper, I think, obviously. That's a place to start as far as improving the receiving.
But Cooper's staying, though, Tyler. I mean, unless they find somebody who wants him more. I mean, our best shot is we got to wait for his contract to expire. And it's a 3-year deal.
Yeah. Unless they trade him or something. I mean, they were trading him.
Yeah, but that would involve other interests. And so far, this guy's done nothing to make other teams say, I really want that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's the weak link. Much like Eric Decker was probably the weak link for Denver. But at least Eric Decker had stats to maybe say that made a team like the Jets say, we can use that guy at receiver probably.
Yeah.
I mean, great. Now, great. That was a smart decision because Emmanuel Sanders is way better than Eric Decker ever was. Like, great, he's out with a concussion right now, and I think the fact that he and Julius Thomas went down is one reason why Denver lost to St. Louis. Because then
that hurt. Yeah, definitely that hurt him.
So all you got left is Wes Welker and Demaryius Thomas on the outside, and that's it. And even Peyton Manning can't even work with those odds sometimes.
Yeah, Welker's like a part-time player now at this point.
Well, he's a small guy. That was always the main criticism of Welker was that he was a small guy for a receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's getting up there.
And it's not like Welker has this Deshaun Jackson speed either that he can get by defenders with. So, at least Jackson, who's not big, at least he can make up for it with his speed then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess looking forward here, I mean obviously, they better bounce back against the Tennessee Titans this Sunday at home.
Yeah, Zach Mettenberger.
Have a bit, and have a big showing at home. Maybe it's a little warmer. They can get they're out of the cold at Lambeau Field and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look forward down the stretch. Obviously, 4 days later you got the Thanksgiving game coming up.
Yep. So it's a short break. It's a road game.
Yeah.
It's on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and then obviously Seattle coming in at home, and
which I'm still shocked, despite all the stats that say otherwise. That there's still Eagle fans that really they this team could beat Seattle.
Well, they could beat Seattle. I mean, I'm not saying whether they will or not now, but
I'm saying they're not. I just looking at what this team does against legitimate opponents this year. It's just like, and still maybe say about it, Seattle's still gonna have. It's must win for Seattle too because they got to make the playoffs still somehow. And like I said, it might start with them being Arizona this week, and then they got San Francisco the following week as well in that. But Seattle lost to Kansas City, but it wasn't like they played bad against Kansas City.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand they got issues with like Lynch right now, and he might not be staying with the team. Maybe come next year, it sounds like they're going to let him go, which makes you wonder how good this offense is going to be next year for Seattle since they just lost Harvin and Lynch probably in the same season. But I'm still going to go with Seattle. I get it. It's on the road. It's not at Seattle, but still, I mean, it's the better team right now.
I mean, yeah, I mean...
And at the end of the day, I mean, everybody keeps talking about Dallas and the actual way to happen. Mark Sanchez, based on last week, is the actual way to happen on Philly's side, too.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Again, we'll see how they bounce back against Tennessee, starting things off here. But
I'm just saying, because I did hear Mike Missanelli say, it's a guarantee. They're going to beat Seattle.
Yeah.
This team,
well,
great, he hasn't gone 11.
He said guarantee.
He hasn't going 11-5. I'm going to go more leaning towards 10-6 because there's going to be some loss in here that's going to happen and no one's going to see coming probably.
Well, they lose one to Dallas and they lose one to Seattle. So what's the other loss?
Well, first of all, I'm one of those few that I think Dallas could beat them twice.
Well, I guess they could, but I think that's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely there, but I think it has to do with Tyler Eagles fan, so there's already bias there.
Well, no,
two. A lot of people. Philly fans are hoping and just begging right now that Dallas collapses before their very eyes right now.
Well, they don't have to collapse, really.
No, but that's really Philly's only shot at winning the division is that Dallas just collapses down the stretch.
Not really, because if they say they lose one to the Eagles lose one to Seattle and they lose one to Dallas, the other one they beat Dallas. Dallas loses to Indianapolis or one of those other games.
No, but I mean, like if they lose to Chicago, New York, or Washington, and that those are the losses they're hoping. Philly fans are hoping for. They're hoping that this Sunday, Dallas goes into MetLife and lays a giant goose egg in prime time.
That doesn't have to happen though for the Eagles to win the division.
It kind of helped them.
Because
helped them last year. Helped them last year a lot.
Well, maybe, but because as long as the Eagles have finished with the same record as Dallas, the Eagles will have the advantage because the division record would be better because the Cowboys lost that one to Washington.
Yeah, but and number two is let's just be fair. It's a fact here. Dallas has been the way more consistent team this year.
Definitely early on in the season.
They don't have the issues quite like Philly has right now. Mainly at the quarterback and running back position, and you can even say that the receiving core is stronger this year. And more importantly, their defense I think might actually be better than Philly's right now. Philadelphia's given up. I think Philly ranks 29th in yards allowed this year. That's not exactly a good stat when you're going to face DeMarco Murray and Tony Romo and that. Yeah. Who, granted, has found a way to lay a goose egg in that, but granted, he's facing Mark Sanchez now, who has his whole history laying goose eggs all over the place. Yeah. At least Romo has come to play on occasions.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, Green Bay. Yeah, obviously they were exposed by Aaron Rodgers, the defense especially.
Yeah.
But I mean, before that, I mean, we weren't complaining a whole lot about the defense in the most of the weeks leading up to that.
Well, I was because I.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can obviously they have obvious personnel issues, but.
Well, no, because I think our front seven got exposed barely against Green Bay too as being a great front seven.
Well, the thing is too, if they were to blitz Aaron Rodgers, I mean, Aaron Rodgers against the blitz is already.
But still. Where's Connor Baldwin? The Pro Bowler Connor Baldwin last week.
He was more in coverage in this game.
But
I mean,
still,
they couldn't get the natural pressure from the.
Really, there were only two games where this team stood out. That was the Giants and the Panthers. This team was actually.
Well, yeah, the Texans game. They were good as well.
Okay, so what? Eli Manning, Cam Newton, and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
All right.
I'm just saying. all this team really is showing me, Ty, is they can beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. That's all they're really showing me this year, which is good. That's good. That's great. That's great. They're not laying a goose egg at a team they're supposed to beat. Great, we got 6 more weeks left, and a lot of things can happen here. But there were so many people for so long this year saying, "Oh, 7-2, 8-2, nothing's wrong with this team here." And all of a sudden, we lay a goose egg against the Niners and the Cardinals here. And then we just get demolished by the Packers here.
Well, to be fair, on the road against Arizona, they had their chances to win that game, certainly.
Yeah,
they were
but
close.
At the end of the day, though, this team against a legitimate opponent this season has come up short on almost every occasion, pretty much. With the exception of Indianapolis. Even though, once again, I go back to that whole bad no call, which it would have been called game over. Indy wins that game then.
Now, we didn't expect them to win that game initially, though, right? But they were still. We probably expected them to lose maybe by 10 points.
But then again, a lot of things happened after that game. Everybody thought Darren Sproles was, oh man, comeback player of the year all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, what was this? That's still his best game. But then you got to say, was that just because it was the Colts defense, maybe? Who, let's be fair, Ben Roethlisberger, threw five touchdowns? What was it? 5 touchdowns against this defense at one point. So they even made Ben Roethlisberger relevant again, pretty much.
I mean, that's you play who's on the schedule and whoever they have.
I get that, Tyler. I'm just saying. I think so many fans have had this fantasy of this team here based on last year. Even though, let's be fair, this team barely made it into the playoffs last year. Had to come down to the last game. But yet, had to come down to a interception made, keep in mind, in Philly territory, by the way, from a backup QB for Dallas. And who was in his mid-30s?
Yeah. And of course we had our backup quarterback, through most of that season or at least heading into the season.
What, Nick Foles?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's already being crowned as one of the greatest QBs of that time. Yeah. You would thought the guy had a guaranteed spot in Canton.
Well, yeah, but
based on the stats the guy was throwing up there. Yeah. Granted, he had Deshaun Jackson, who I think now has proven helped him greatly last year. And number 2 is that Oakland game. I think really inflated his stats more than anything.
But I'm not talking about. I'm just saying, as far as the backup quarterback, conversation there. I mean, to be fair, the Eagles had their backup quarterback into the season pretty much most of the season last.
Okay, so but I'm pretty sure
at that point,
I'm pretty sure at that part of the season though, Nick was already crowned the starter at that point.
Well, yeah, but I'm just
Nick
saying,
was still in the roster. He was healthy.
I'm just saying Dallas had their starting quarterback 15 games last season. They were still in a position to get eliminated from the playoff race.
Well, so was Philly too. I mean, we lost to Minnesota. That Minnesota game, I was nervous as hell, especially when Dallas was up big on Green Bay. Now, granted, once again. Then this is why Philly fans are hoping a collapse happens, because this is what happened last year pretty much. Dallas wins against Green Bay. All they got to do is beat Washington, which they did. Grant Romo hurt his back in that game. Grant, he played through it and won the game in the end day. Dallas doesn't choke against Green Bay and they beat Washington. They're the division champion. That final game means jack then.
Yeah.
So once again here, Philly got lucky last year because we lost to a Vikings team who was supposed to beat, and then we got lucky that Green Bay Dallas let Matt Flynn go crazy in the second half against them there, and all of a sudden we're back in the game. Then it's all of a sudden it really doesn't matter than the final week, because unless Dallas loses to Washington, then Dallas beats Washington, and really we're beating the Green Bay. Doesn't matter. We could probably even rest our starters in that game.
Yeah.
Grant, we just ran up the scoreboard against Chicago, which I looking back might have been a bad idea too, because really I think all I did was it made some Eagle fans say, "Oh, the game in Dallas is going to be so easy now because now Romo is out of an injury. We got to bring in 30-year-old Kyle Orton," and all of a sudden, it comes to that Kyle Orton has a shot to win the game for Dallas. They don't even need a touchdown. They just need a field goal to win the game against us. Yeah. And lucky enough, the one bad pass Kyle Orton throws the entire day. Because you got to be fair to Tyler, he was shredding our secondary that entire game pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, he was finding guys open a lot in that game. And the one time he throws a bad pass and it goes straight into Brandon Boykin's arm, and that's the game then. But I think too many people were looking at, division champion, 10-6, didn't see it coming. And once again, I think elevating maybe Chip Kelly's status a bit too high too as a great coach, because once again, 2-7 against winning teams.
Yeah.
Not really that impressive. Yeah. Not really that impressive, really.
Definitely, and against, for the most part, teams that have better quarterbacks, too. And
Well, I don't know. I thought we had a great quarterback at the beginning of the year, though.
But not Aaron Rodgers, and
no.
obviously one that we had to see play more before you could really crown him as an elite quarterback.
Even though there were plenty of people doing that at the game. Once again, I blame ESPN for some of this happening because what were we fourth in the power rankings at the beginning of the season, which I thought was way too damn high. But
recent weeks I know they've been up there around fourth.
No, but the week one, I believe we were fourth or fifth or sixth in the rankings.
Some people, yeah.
Now, granted, that's probably because it's Mike Greenberg and Mike Golick, and Golick's like a massive Philadelphia market on ESPN and that, but. It's just there were so many people I think looking at this team here as an elite team already, even before they snapped the ball this year. And then you watch Jacksonville this year, and it's it was 17-0 at halftime against Jacksonville. Now, great, won the game. It was 34-17, eventually at 1 point, but still, this team scored 0 points.
Yeah.
At home against a Jacksonville team, which is deemed to be a bad team this year.
Yeah. Remember, Foles had an awful game that game as well.
Really, Nick had almost no good games this year.
Well, yeah.
If you think about it,
that's what I mean.
I'm just saying. I think a lot of what Philly needs to hope for is that Dallas just collapses, but I don't see it happening this year.
Yeah. Well, I
think that because Dallas is doing stuff that they never did in past. They never gave DeMarco Murray the ball this much in the past.
Yeah.
And he's taking advantage of it. This defense has been better than in the past. And this is supposed to be a bad defense this year. Yet it's been better statistically than the Philly defense. As far as yards allowed,
yes.
Keep in mind, Tyler,
a lot of people were better than statistically throughout the season, but when it came to letting up points and everything, the Eagles have been, with the exception of Green Bay, obviously, leading up to that week.
I don't know what. We allowed the Rams to score 28 on us all of a sudden.
Yeah, late in the game. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
We let Kirk Cousins run ragshot over the defense.
But after that Rams game.
Well, the Redskins game was also before that too. Andrew Luck scored a lot. We let say what?
No, but after the Rams game, and you had the Giants and all those other games.
But we're gonna look at New York now and look at that as a big win.
No, at the time, because I remember you picked the Giants to win that game at the time too. So
I also didn't think Victor Cruz was going to get hurt, and I also didn't realize Eli Manning was going to resort all of a sudden back to bad Eli Manning magically as well. But then again,
the Eagles, credit to the defense that game for totally throwing.
Yeah, but I'm still memorized that there's some people even look at this defense and saying, well, we got talent on this defense here. It's like
young potential talent, but
okay, yeah, and
no J.J. Watts or anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying there too.
No Richard Sherman.
There's no Richard Sherman, no J.J. Watt, no Justin Houston.
There's some solid players. Not in the secondary, but.
Not
in the front set.
Malcolm Jenkins has been a complete no-show.
Well, in this Green Bay, everybody knows.
I expected Malcolm Jenkins to lay a goose egg eventually this season, and it finally happened.
Yeah. Well, of course, against Aaron Rodgers in this Green Bay.
Well, no, I should you say, Tyler. He did that in many. Because really, how many picks does this guy have this year? 3, maybe.
Earlier in the season.
But the last one was San Francisco.
Yeah, normally that stuff evens out too. And that stuff happens in bunches.
Well, like you said earlier, the guy was a no-show with the Saints. You look at the guy's stats in the Saints; they're not impressive.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm insane when I hear some people say, I had to listen to John Gruden say, "Man, the Saints are really missing Darren Sproles and Malcolm Jenkins." Okay, Sproles, I can see maybe an argument there. Granted, the guy was inconsistent just like he is this year.
Well, definitely, especially with special teams, he's definitely been a help, but.
I think he already has more punt returns in one season than he has his entire career so far.
Yeah, he's had a career year, in punt, returning the return game in general.
Granted, I think it's stupid to have a guy that quote unquote talented doing punt returns, which is a very high injury position.
Well, he's a special kind of player, I guess.
But then again, it's Malcolm Jenkins, really? Malcolm Jenkins is the reason why the Saints have laid a goose egg this year. Really, Malcolm Jenkins he's
not the only. Obviously,
really, of that entire defense, the guy that you look at his stats, they're not that impressive, really. He's we took it out, and all of a sudden, that defense of the Saints just collapsed all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I don't. Maybe last year was an aberration for the Saints too. It was Rob Ryan's first year. I mean, we can all learn as Philly that you can have one good season and lay a goose egg the next year.
Yeah.
So like I said, it might have been an aberration. I think last year was kind of an aberration too, and I kind of think this record for most of the year was an aberration too, because the wins are not that impressive. Yeah. The losses to me stand out more.
Well, to be fair though, I mean, yeah, Dallas beat Seattle, but other than that, they've beaten like a lot of the same teams that the Eagles have beaten.
Yeah,
if you think about it,
I still think the Saints was a pretty big win.
Yeah,
from a mental standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, but
because the Saints last year threw an NFL record 41 first downs against Dallas. Granted, it was in the
Plus it was and it was actually the Saints team that we're more familiar with too,
but still,
obviously,
nonetheless, mentally speaking, from a Dallas team, that was a big win mentally.
Yeah, but I mean, as we would learn, I mean, I can't believe the Saints now they dropped 2 straight at the Superdome.
But here's the thing.
I can't believe Cincinnati
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I think the Saints could beat us though.
I mean, they could. Yeah, I mean, they could at home, but
I think on the road because they beat us on the road last year.
Well, yeah, but I don't think they're the same 11-5 team that they were. Well, I mean, to be fair too, I mean, last year the Saints they had to play Seattle in Seattle. I mean, who knows if that game was in New Orleans?
Yeah,
maybe New Orleans would have been the team that had first round. The home field.
And that Saints game was a close game. It wasn't like it was a guaranteed win for Seattle. I mean, really, Seattle played both their games close last year. Definitely against San Francisco. That came down to one of the final plays of the game, pretty much. Where Richard Sherman made one of the best corner plays of the year, pretty much.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying, I'm liking Dallas. I like Dallas' schedule better than us, which makes me question whether the only shot Philly has is that Dallas lays a goose egg.
Yeah, well,
but then again, I think Philly can lay just as big of a goose egg too. With Mark Sanchez on the snap.
I think the Eagles have 2 losses left, and I think Dallas has 2 losses left. I'm not expecting another collapse from Dallas, but I mean, then again, we say about Detroit how they'll probably start to, come down here.
Well,
but
they're 7-3 right now, just like us.
And
I can see maybe a loss against New England on their schedule, and probably Green Bay, maybe a second meeting. Their next, the other 4 opponents are,
I think they're
the Bears twice. They faced the Bears twice yet, both home and away. One's on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Which let's be fair here, this team has won 2 games this year, and one of them was against a fading, laughable Washington Redskins team right now.
Yeah, they're definitely fading.
So that should be a win. And I'm trying with the final Vikings.
Yeah.
Which they lost earlier too, but then again, that was because they had Alex Henry as their kicker, and he missed 3 field goals. Which screwed that should have been a win for Detroit, but Alex Henry screwed him over. And they got
shame.
Well, when they got Prater now from the Broncos.
Matthew Prater.
Yeah, Prater, and he's way more consistent.
Yeah.
So I don't see him laying a goose egg to the Vikings a second time in that. So. What 11-5? 11-5? 11-5?
They should be I mean, they should be a wild card team.
Here's the thing: minimum loss you can have in the NFC is 6 losses. I think to make the playoffs this year. Minimum. You get to 7, you're done.
Yeah.
So if you're Seattle and San Francisco right now, you cannot afford to lose 3 more games this year.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they do face each other a lot, so that could really be.
So that'll be interesting down the stretch. And
I mean, keep in mind, Seattle has the first one with Arizona this week, then their first one with San Francisco next week. So they do face Arizona twice yet and San Francisco twice based on their final schedule yet. And the Rams one more time as well, which has been their only division loss so far this year. Now, granted, they might want payback now.
Yeah.
Because now it's going to be at Seattle to end the season, and it might be for a playoff berth. But that's where the Seattle game is big, though, because they lose to Seattle. Then Philly, in my mind, lost all the tiebreakers against every team that might be battling for that 6th spot then.
Yeah.
Which is why the division crown probably matters more now. But granted, I've given that to Dallas right now. Because at the end of the day, I'm just saying, as far as consistency goes, as far as the talent level that all these teams have, I mean, unless Dallas has a massive injury, once again, a lot of it has to go on Dallas's end, I feel like more than Philly's end. I don't see how the Cowboys don't win the division this year.
All right, well.
Common sense says Dallas, but history's been saying every time you go with the Cowboys, they find a way to let you down in that. I get that, but this year is special because Mark Sanchez is on the other side of the ball here, and as we all know from the history of Mark Sanchez, he can always find a way to let a franchise down. He's always found a way to do it. And once again, maybe that great performance against Carolina, granted, it was really great. He had 17 incomplete passes in that game, and he was facing a quarterback that threw 3 interceptions on the other side of the ball. And a lot of those were deep in Carolina territory, too. So Mark did have like a lot of easy setups in that game, too. So I would say great, though. But I think maybe even Mark got maybe too exposed last week, too. I think maybe he got crowned. What's his new record? What, the Sanchez now?
Some people were saying, I don't, whatever they want to call him.
Like I said, I think Philly is just get so desperate. They want to find someone that will replace a Donovan McNabb right now. That they're just going to go with anybody at this point put in that quarterback position. But I got news for you. If that's your mentality, I don't know how the hell you're competing for a division title then.
Yeah.
Then if that's your mentality, let's put anybody really in this quarterback position. Really, because I got news for you. If it's Matt Barkley, season's over. Forget the division for a second. They're not going to make a playoff for Matt Barkley at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at that point, then maybe I could see Dallas sweeping the Eagles if that were to happen. I don't know, but then again, I mean, I think the Eagles are definitely they're becoming a good home team. I would think
they're undefeated at home. Yeah. All the losses were on the road.
And I mean.
They lost to San Francisco, they lost to Arizona, they lost and they lost to Green Bay.
I mean, those good, I mean, it'd be interesting to see, like, if they were to host a playoff game, how they'd fare this year. I mean, granted, then again, you got Mark Sanchez still. That's not a franchise quarterback or anything that you would expect him to lead the way. So they'd have to do it, I guess Chip would have to work his magic or whatever they've done in these other games, and between scheming and the running game would have to work. And
like I said, we'll see. Yeah, they should beat Tennessee. Dallas should beat New York. These teams should have. These two teams should both have identical records heading to Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
in that, which makes the game interesting. Then.
Yeah, the Eagles better look strong, like
yeah.
They're serious, like they're serious about coming down.
But again, like I said, I could see Dallas or Philly both losing to a team that they're supposed to beat. Maybe Dallas loses to New York, maybe Washington, maybe they lose to Chicago, maybe Colts. They probably will lose to. I would be shocked if they beat the Colts, really, because it's like Indy's been out of impressive this year.
Yeah,
I know defense has just been god awful on most occasions, so I would be surprised if Tony Romo has a field day against that defense with Indy, and DeMarco Murray just doesn't run crazy with the ball in that game. Once again, I think there's just, to me, it just, look at the season, the first 10 games this year. To me, it's clear who the better team is of these two here. And based on key injuries as well, I mean, obviously, DeMeco Ryans is a big loss. Granted, Dallas had 3 big injuries on their defense as well. So both sides have had injuries this year. Granted, as far as the offensive side of the ball goes, it's just,
the Cowboys have had a consistent winning formula. That's the thing. Like DeMarco Murray,
DeMarco runs it, and once in a while, Tony Romo will throw it deep to Dez.
The Eagles, it's been like different ways that they've won. That's the thing. They haven't been like great at any one thing.
Tyler, the key factor, really, why I picked Dallas over Philly, too many damn turnovers for Philly this year.
Well, yeah, they were horrible in that Green Bay.
No, but Tyler, I think they're first in turnovers in the league this year. And second place is Jacksonville.
Yeah.
We're beating Jacksonville in something.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that. Yeah, they turn the ball over all those times.
Once again, it's amazing this team is 7-3. I think a lot has to do with the schedule that they had this year, who they faced. But even again, they almost lost to Washington. That would have been a big loss. They almost blew one to St. Louis one time. I mean, you had New York, Carolina, and Houston. Great, Houston kept that game close for a while. And this is probably they made if Mallett was playing instead of Fitzpatrick. Maybe Texas could have won that game. Maybe because
we'll see how Mallett turned. The rest of the season. See how things pan out.
I'm just saying.
They could. Who knows? Maybe the Texans steal that division. I don't know.
Well, that's
they have a rematch. They do have They still have another match or game against.
If Houston beats Indy, that Indy loss means in my mind means Jack then pretty much. And I can't really still even if Houston makes the playoffs, that's still a great win for them.
Well,
then.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess I'll wrap it up for now. Yeah. Again, Eagles should bounce back strong at home. They bet they're going to be expected to have a good game against the Titans, and as we head into the week of Thanksgiving with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll look forward to that next week as always, and discuss it right here on TW Sports
Yeah,
Talk.
we're probably gonna have a show next week, are we?
Well, we'll do it a different day.
Like what?
Maybe Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Instead. Yeah, because obviously
Thanksgiving's a Thursday.
As we broadcast this on Thursday, yeah, thanks. So yeah, and since I won't have school that Wednesday either, so yeah, we'll probably do.
Okay, no problem.
So yeah, we'll have a little videos should be up a little earlier next week, I guess is the before Thanksgiving. So yeah, we'll come back next week as always and discuss all that right here on TW Sports Talk. So thanks for tuning in.